You heard that making six figures in your coaching business is possible, but you struggle with figuring out how to make it possible for you. Listen, I want to share with you really quickly the top three critical challenges coaches face, especially Christian coaches, the challenges that you face in the marketplace that is keeping you from earning the six figures in your coaching business that you truly desire to earn. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So, number one, the number one reason why you struggle with making or generating the amount of income that you desire in your coaching business as a believer, as a Christian coach, number one is valuing your value. Here's the thing, most times in the marketplace we are taught, or most time as believers we're taught, that our gifts should be given for free. It should be affordable. We're supposed to help and serve people. We're supposed to be vessels for the Lord, all the things, right? And I agree 100%. I believe that your coaching is a form of ministry, and we are supposed to serve people in our coaching and through our coaching. However, if you are building your coaching to be your business, whether or not it is in the marketplace as a professional coach, or you're using your skill in the corporate space where you are looking to increase your income because of your skill in coaching, here's what I need you to do. I need you to value your value. How do you do that? Number one, you have to identify the value that you bring to the table, right? What problem do you solve? The number one reason why most coaches struggle with hitting that six-figure mark is because they don't value the problem that they're called to solve. It's an innate behavior for us. It's something that comes natural. It's something that we can do with our eyes closed. So we don't really see the significance behind our ability or behind our skill. Understand that your ability to take someone from where they are to where they truly desire to be, transforming their mindset, transforming their behaviors, and generating a productive result is a skill. And if you are not valuing that skill, if you are not valuing that ability that you've been born with, you will find it very difficult to put a monetary value to that value, right? That's the number one reason. Number two is the way you look at money. It is the way you look at money. Here's the thing. Again, this is for people who've been raised in the ministry space. This is for those of you who know that you've been called by God to coach, but you struggle with the mindset of money because of how you've been raised. I'm only saying this because this is something that I had to fight through. My idea of money was I needed to earn it, right? Versus it being a resource, versus it being something that I have access to regardless. And so when I changed that form of thinking and I started looking at money as a resource, and recognizing money to be a tool so that I can build upon, and stop looking at it as something that I had to work hard to earn, or something that I needed to, you know, bend backwards to get. Once I started to change my mindset about that, it changed how I offer the value that I provide to the clients, the coaches, the executive leaders that I work with. I struggled with this in the beginning because I thought that what I knew, or the skill that I had, was something that everyone had, right? Oh, it's common sense. Well, the Bible talks about how common sense is not common. And the moment that you recognize that your ability, your skill to help someone go from where they are to where they truly desire to be is an innate skill, it's a behavior, it's something that you were born to do. The moment that you realize and you gain the clarity and what that looks like, then you're able to cross over and begin to monetize that. Now, monetizing, understand that exchanging your skill for an investment, the investment has nothing to do with the money aspect of it, is not what you are focusing on. It's the results, right? And so when you begin to look at what you do in your coaching, what you do as a coach, as a opportunity for someone else to maximize the results in their life, you look at money differently. The investment is only the level of accountability. You charging in your coaching isn't to it's not just for you to get money. It's for you to establish the standard that, listen, at this level of investment, I guarantee that I'm able to help you reach this level of result. Well, what is the investment? What does it include? It includes eliminating time that your client or that your corporation or organization that you're working for, it eliminates time of them researching the solution to the problem that you already have. That's for number one. It saves time. Number two, what it does is it generates massive growth and impact. So whatever area it is that you focus on in serving your client, because keep in mind, your niche is what establishes you as that expert. Your niche is what complements, or it's what qualifies your price point. Okay. So when you've identified your niche, which means you're clear of the problem you're called to solve, you're clear of the people that you're called to serve. When you start to value the value you bring to the table, when you begin to change how you look at money, because if you look at money as something that is hard to get, if you look at money as something that you have to work really hard to earn, if you look at money as a source that you only exchange for time, then you'll find yourself in this pattern that keeps you below the financial goal that you're striving for. But the moment you start to see the value that you bring to the table, when you start seeing the monetary investment that's required of this skill from you, of this level of transformation, and you believe in the level of transformation, here's the thing. Most of us, we get stuck because we know that it worked for us, but we don't believe that it'll work for someone else, right? So this is the third challenge that most coaches and executive leaders, but for the sake of this training, this is the challenge that most coaches face, that I recognize as I coach coaches in their niche. I'm recognizing that they struggle with believing that the same strategy that they apply to their problem, they struggle with believing if that strategy is going to work for someone else. Well, here's the thing. Principles don't change, right? Regardless of what someone may believe in their faith, regardless of what someone's behaviors are, if you begin to implement certain principles into your life and you apply strategy and you apply action, you will see results, right? You will see results. So if you are in a space where you're like, listen, Latoya, I believe I've been called to coach. Like, I know that coaching is my life's assignment. I just don't know how to monetize it. Like, I don't know how to make it work. How do I position it to the people that need it? How do I collect income from it? How do I increase my visibility? Number one, getting clear of the niche. You have to be crystal clear of the problem that you've been called to solve. The more crystal clear you are in the problem that you're called to solve, the better your content becomes, right? Something that I share with the coaches all the time in my program is that when you're designing your messaging, you want to identify behaviors. Here's why. Because a lot of times the industry points to pain points. Point to the pain, point to the pain. Here's what I've noticed about pain points. While they are great tools, and you do need to be aware of the pain that your client is currently experiencing, sometimes focusing on the pain isn't the better result. Why? Because somebody can be in pain for so long that they've become, what's the word I'm looking for? They have become immune to that pain, right? So they no longer know that it's as painful as it was when it first started, because they've been living and adjusting to this pain. They've adapted to the symptoms of this pain. So they've absorbed it. right? So here's what I encourage my coaches to do. I encourage you to focus on the behaviors, because the pain is going to produce a behavior. What is that behavior? When you start calling out the behavior of your client, when you start as a confidence coach, you're saying, listen, my clients struggle with believing in their skill, their gift, their capability to generate an income, or to go after a promotion, or to find a relationship, whatever your outcome is. You want to help them focus on the behavior. So if they're not confident in generating the income or going after the promotion, what are some of their behaviors? What are they doing in the workplace? Are they going in the workplace and they are, going into their office or their cubicle and staying isolated? Maybe they aren't creating conversations with other people because they don't believe that their voice is valuable or that they matter. Maybe they struggle with standing up for themselves in the workplace. Now, here are pain points. You may say, do you feel mistreated by your employer? Do you feel ignored by your employer? These type of pain points can be so they could have become so used to that they're not noticing that it's painful anymore. They probably are being ignored in the workplace, but because it's become such a habit, they don't see it anymore. But if you start to identify some of the things that they're doing in response to being ignored in the workplace, then it changes how they show up, right? Now you're talking to them. Now you're speaking directly to something that they can connect to, because they're like, dang, I do go to work and do that. Man, I do go into public places and I respond this way. These are some of the things that you want to call out. Calling out the behaviors of your client is going to create a different level of connection, right? Because what you're doing is you're saying, I see you. And the behaviors that you're currently practicing are behaviors that I used to practice, rather, not currently, but behaviors that I used to practice. So when I first started my coaching business, one of the behaviors that I had was I used to Google a lot. And it was because I was afraid of making an investment in a coach or into a program, because I didn't think that they could help me reach the goals that I wanted to truly reach. So a fear was generated. And so what I didn't notice is that fear that was generated in me, what it was doing is it was the enemy stopping me from reaching my greatest potential. I'll never forget the day when the Holy Spirit kind of checked me, like, Latoya, just like I've developed you to serve coaches and executive leaders, I've developed someone to develop you. Right. And so you have to submit to the process. And I didn't want to. I was super hesitant because I was afraid. But that fear, right? And so that behavior of Googling answers, downloading as many freebies as I possibly can, trying to piece together a strategy that's going to get me to six figures, I did all of those things, right? And the pain point that I had is lack of clarity. I didn't know who I was as a coach. I didn't know how to really design my messaging as a coach. And let's not even talk about those things, because those are important. But the true reason I struggle with hitting six figures in my coaching business is because I didn't value my value. I didn't recognize my ability to develop people in the area that God has called them to develop in. I struggled with that. Right. And so because I didn't value my value, I would lowball my pricing. Right. I would undervalue my price points. I would negotiate my pricing. I would have this, I would mask my fear of them saying no and me compromising my prices. So I would do payment plans, 20 months of payment plans, right? Putting people on long-term payment plans, trying to adjust because I will assume that I want things to be affordable. Then I had to recognize that affordability is a mindset, and people don't buy what they can afford. They buy what they want. They buy the results. They buy the desire. They invest in what they believe is going to make them greater. So it is important for us to identify what is going to make my client greater. What do they want, so that they can see that I have the ability to support them in navigating through the challenges, navigating through the limited mindset, navigating through the distractions, so that they can get to the true success that they desire, right? You've been called to coach and you're trying to figure out, now what? How do I reach the six-figure mark in my business, number one, get clear of your niche, right? Get clear of your niche. The challenges that you're facing is that you're not clear of the problem that you're solving. Number two is you have to value your value. You have to believe in your ability to help solve a problem. Now, that does take a certain level of training, that does take a certain level of development, that does take intentional commitment, right? It takes intentional work so that you can begin to see the fruit. And then lastly, it's the way you look at money. You're facing the challenges because you struggle with how you see money, and you struggle with how you accept income, right? Yes, you should be compensated for your skill, for your ability to navigate, to help someone else navigate through their personal challenges to get them to their overall goal, to get them to their overall results. When you stop operating in these three areas at a low awareness, when you start operating in these areas with a greater when you start operating in these areas with a greater awareness, with a greater level of faith and confidence, with a greater level of strategy, then you'll start seeing your income increase, and you'll hit that six-figure mark in your business. Listen, I hope that today's call to coach, now what, I hope it blessed you. I hope it helped you transform how you see yourself as a coach, and realize that what you bring to the table is valuable. Let's package it. Let's design it. Let's make it clear so that the world who needs it can see it as well. You guys be blessed.